It's 8:01. I'm going to call us into this emergency city council meeting. Just note that all are present. We have three that are on some mobile system right now. And so if there's any questions or comments, please, if you're out there on the net have some problems, make sure you get a hold of us. We're going to, and every time that we do things that are in a rush to accomplish something that's really important.
She got it.
She got it. Okay. Yeah. What happens is we sometimes do things and could word them differently or better. And so we have a couple of those items to deal with today. But the first thing I want to mention is I'm going to address something that happened yesterday, well, last couple of days actually. We had two of our large vendors in Stevensville, Texas reach out to me, to the city, and what they asked was, what can we do to help? And particularly about part of our ordinance that related to helping senior citizens make sure that they get access to food and to the store, where they're protected from the public and particularly the disease that might be associated with being in that public setting. So I want to mention particularly Walmart and HEB and the participation they wanted to have with us, and they asked, what can we do to help? And so they've really stepped up and have come up with several suggestions that each store is going to do a little differently, which really makes it difficult for our ordinance to apply to them directly. So instead of trying to write an ordinance or modify it that addresses each individual situation, we'll have a motion here in a moment to deal with that. But I want to reach out particularly and say thank you to all of the stores that responded the very next morning and did try to accomplish everything that this city council had put into place. So I just want to say thank you for that, particularly to the two that reached out to me, which were Walmart and HEB. And with that, do we have a motion on the floor?
Mr. Mayor, I would make the motion to amend the City of Stephenville's declaration that was signed March 25th to remove Section 5 from the order in its entirety.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just like to say that, just for clarification for everybody listening, Section 5 was the section that that designated certain hours of the day, 3 days a week, specifically as shopping hours for 60 plus our residents that are 60 and older. Through the discussions with HEB and Walmart, they had some ideas of some ways they could do that on their own to help many of our concerns. And I think in the spirit of as limited government as we can have in this situation, they're making sufficient efforts to do that on their own with some things they've agreed to add. So is it okay if we announce what some of those are? Just some examples of some things they've agreed to do. HEB is delivering on I guess kind of a tiered system right now according to the population that each of their stores serves. And HEB has agreed to upgrade Stephenville to their next level, which will give us more supply than we've been getting. In addition to that, they've diverted 10 they've said the only item that they are consistently running out of in their store every single day is toilet paper. Everything else, you may go in one day and they're out, but most of the time they're going to have it the next day. So toilet paper's been the number one problem. So they've diverted 10 pallets of 12-pack, I believe, but 10 pallets of toilet paper from another area directly to our Stephenville store. And they are going to help our seniors and be sure they get some of the supplies they need. They're going to reserve 6 of those pallets roped off for 60-plus residents. They expect their paper supply to be back in normal levels within 2 weeks. So they are doing a separate line for seniors in the mornings to allow them in the store first, give them a couple of minutes to get dispersed within the store, and then they'll let everybody else in. And in addition to that, they've also offered to donate 10 pallets of toilet paper to residents in the city of Stephenville, and I think we've just got to give them some direction on what organizations we can send those to be distributed. So that's a very generous offer from HEB. They've been great community partners all along. They've been great community partners, but that's such a great show of support. Walmart has agreed to do the first 2 hours of every day I'm sorry, not of every day. I don't have the exact clarification on that. I believe it's at least the Monday, Thursday, and Saturday that we had asked. But the first 2 hours of the day is for seniors only. They're also opening their eye care and pharmacy at 6 a.m. from 6 to 8 on Wednesdays for seniors, and doing curbside pharmacy services on Wednesday as well for seniors. So those are some of the things that they have offered to do, and we felt like those were the mayor and I have had a lot of discussions along with city administration, and felt like those were great steps to help us out. So,
Anybody else?
I think it's worth noting that these are doing this voluntarily, trying to help our citizens, trying to help us, trying to make it as convenient for everyone as possible, and serving everybody's needs as well as possible, and I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Hearing no other conversation, we have a motion and second on the floor. We'll call a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Same sign opposed. Motion passes. We have two other items of motion that, we see, have we already discussed who will make these motions? Our discussion, okay. First item is is on section 1 of the ordinance. I'll let you discuss that with us, Alan.
Yes, sir. Yesterday, we went through the declaration dated March 25th and compared it to the March 18th declaration as we were directed to by council. We found 3 areas that were inadvertently left out in all of the documents that you saw. That was section 1, the declaration of a public health and safety emergency. That's all the enabling language, and it includes the thing that we took out about using private property, and it includes just the enabling legislation, basically. We also left out section 3, closure of city facilities. We felt like that probably needed to go ahead and be back into the order. We would also respectfully request amending the very last item on that, which is public meetings, and replace it with a statement: all public meetings will comply with the Texas Open Meetings Act as amended by Executive Board of the Governor of the State of Texas. All public meetings will be conducted via teleconference unless otherwise posted. And the last one, this is really what caught our eye yesterday. We were talking with one of you, and you asked about the reporting of the COVID tests. And when I told you, yeah, it's covered, and Jason and I went back and looked, and we had left out the section requiring them to report the COVID test to us. They've been doing it voluntarily anyway since then, but we felt like it needed to be put back in that section 5 of the old one. The other issue is that section 1, number 3, item F, talked about all businesses had to prop their door open. We received a call from a daycare and said that was not feasible for them to do. The original ordinance that we looked at, or the original declaration, I'm not sure which it was right now, applied to convenience stores only. And the council the other day expanded that to all commercial businesses, I think is the way it's worded. And we respectfully request that you reconsider that and just make it for convenience stores.
Mr. Parliamentarian, can we address all those at the same time, one vote, or we have to take them individually?
I think so, yes.
All together we can do that.
Yes.
Is there any discussion or questions about any of those changes?
Unless somebody wants to
I do
withdraw.
have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
In the very first thing you addressed, was that phrase about confiscation of private property?
Yes, ma'am. I couldn't remember what it said.
And we're going to put.
No, ma'am, we're
Put
going,
that phrase back in?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Confiscation of private property?
no, ma'am, we're not. I could not remember what the term was.
Commandeering was the term.
Yeah,
Commandeering.
commandeering was the term. The way it's going to be, the way
We're
it's,
not voting to add that back in, right?
no, ma'am, the way it's going to read is this declaration authorizes the city to temporarily acquire by lease or other means sites for temporary housing units or emergency shelters for evacuees subject to compensation requirements pursuant to, and then it gives the Texas government code.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
One other clarification, on section 3, all public meetings will be conducted via teleconference unless otherwise posted. Does that preclude us having meetings as we're having now and going exclusively to teleconference?
No, sir, it does not. We can post that some members will be on teleconference, some members will be present.
Okay.
Other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we amend the emergency declaration in section 1, 3, and 5 as it's been presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We'll proceed to vote on. Yes, sir.
Will that include the section 1, number
1,
3F?
3F, as you described it, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, would you still accept that as your second, Alan? Okay. No further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Having no other items on the agenda, unless there's somebody else who wants to have a statement, then we'll stand adjourned at 8:12. Thank you very much.